Earlier this week, Josh Strife Hayes posted a video on YouTube titled Ashes of Creation, Don't Believe the Hype, where he took a look at some of the things Intrepid is promising and some of the gameplay snippets to see if they have delivered, concluding that you shouldn't be hyping up Ashes too much. Now, I watched the video when it first premiered, and I 100% agree that the core message of not overhyping a game is fine. No matter what the game, you don't want to overhype it. And as Josh said in his video, if you expect a game to be 10 out of 10 and it ends up being 9 out of 10, you're going to be disappointed, even though 9 out of 10 is still an amazing game. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with tempering expectations and bringing people down to earth. Absolutely fine with that. However, what concerns me a little about the video is how Josh came to his conclusion and the information he used to get there. The first thing he does is to look at the Ashes official website and the Kickstarter page. Already we have a slight problem because the website is in the middle of a revamp and not finished with all the information that should be included in it. And the Kickstarter page is 4 years old and has never been updated. Now, I don't necessarily blame Josh for this and where he got his information. If I were in his shoes, I would probably do the same thing. If I didn't know about a game, I'd look for their official website as the first thing. So yeah, I got no complaints about that. But again, the problem is that the website doesn't contain a lot of information, and it's not contextual information that is needed to make an informed decision about the game. The same applies to the Kickstarter page, which, bearing in mind, was written back in 2017 before a lot of the systems were fully fleshed out. They were very much in the concept planning stage. Again, I don't blame Josh for this, and I will probably have done the same thing, but in my opinion, he was looking for the information in the wrong places. Had he reached out to anybody in the Ashes community at all during his research, he would likely have been directed straight to the wiki, which has far more accurate and up-to-date information on the game than either the Kickstarter page or the official website. Next, Josh takes a look at some of the LinkedIn pages for the Intrepid staff who are listed on the Kickstarter page, which is a little odd to me. I get that he wants to look at the previous experience of the team to make sure that they have the skills to make an MMORPG like Ashes of Creation, but again, his information comes from the Kickstarter page. He has no idea if any of the people he looked up, aside from Stephen and Jeff, are actually still working for Intrepid. And it completely misses the dozens of people who've been taken on since 2017. He concluded that Intrepid have a bunch of people with previous MMORPG experience, but thinks they are very old school, which is true for the people listed on the Kickstarter page. But again, this isn't taking into account everybody who has been employed since then. At this point, I can absolutely understand Josh's skepticism. After all, a lot of MMORPGs do the same thing as Ashes does. They promise the same kind of things. Things like an ever-changing world or real choices for the players. But whereas most other games just use this as a marketing tool, I believe that it is 100% true for Ashes of Creation. For example, Guild Wars 2 claims to have a dynamically changing world, and on the surface it does. Until you play the game for a bit and realise that all the world events are on a set schedule, to the point where there's a website that tracks each world event in real time for the players. On the other hand, the dynamic world in Ashes is truly dynamic because it relies entirely on the players rather than some hidden server clock. It's the players who decide which nodes get built up and how they react to certain world events. And on top of that, there are real consequences to it. If you awaken a dragon, and that dragon attacks your local node, there are consequences to not defending it, unlike in Guild Wars 2, where there are no real consequences to failing a world event. And you know what's funny? I'm making this video and I just now received a reply from a Reddit user, Nickras, on this very topic, who says, all of the stuff you mentioned are just promises right now. And yes, you're absolutely right, they are just promises. But the difference between Ashes of Creation and other MMORPGs is that we have detailed information on exactly how each promise will be delivered. Intrepid have given us so much information to work with, which is partly why the game is hyped up so now. These aren't just vague promises or marketing BS, we have detailed instructions on how each promise is going to be fulfilled. I fully believe that Intrepid will deliver on their promises. Why? Because they've already delivered on their previous promises. When Steven said they would listen to player feedback during the development, a lot of people were skeptical, and rightly so. Pretty much every game developer makes similar claims and they rarely do actually deliver on them. But Steven did. When Steven initially said he was in favour of login rewards and the players said a resounding no, he listened. We got the dev discussion for login rewards and Intrepid listened to the feedback we gave. When they showed off the first mage fireball animation, the player base as a whole said, no, we don't like it, it's too big, too flashy, too over the top. And so they changed it. Same with the underwater blur effect and the dwarf models. And there are other promises too, like the no pay to win or pay to convenience, which so far Intrepid have stuck to, and I believe that they will continue to. That is why Ashes of Creation is so hyped up right now. It's got nothing to do with the gameplay videos, it's all about the promises that have been made and the promises that have been kept. The promises that have been fulfilled. I can fully understand why Josh made this video. If all I had to go on was a couple of video clips and a Kickstarter page full of what appears to be marketing BS, I might have made a similar video with a similar conclusion. But that doesn't even scratch the surface of what Ashes of Creation is about. I guess my ultimate point here is, don't judge Intrepid Studios or Ashes of Creation based on the actions of other developers. Yes, we've all been burned by the companies that failed to deliver on their promises, including Steven himself. Remember, he was an Arcade player, and he has been burned just as much as anybody else. But Intrepid isn't those other companies. So instead, if you are going to judge Intrepid and Ashes of Creation, judge them based on their actions and their actions alone, not the actions of others. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on the matter. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more Ashes of Creation related content. For now though guys, have a fantastic day and I will see you next time.